Warning: the Dub Talk podcast contains language and content that may not be suitable for younger audiences. Listener discretion is advised. There will also be spoilers for various anime throughout the course of this episode. Please use caution in case we discuss a series you haven't finished yet. Finally, the opinions expressed are those of the individual participants and may not reflect the Dub Talk podcast as a whole. Enjoy the show.
Hello, dear listeners, and welcome to another episode of Dub Talk, where we talk about the latest and greatest in English dubs for anime. And boy, do we have an episode for you tonight. Longtime listeners will know we do our quarterly Patreon episodes, where patrons get to suggest a show, and they all get to vote on them, and someone gets picked, and we have to cover it. And for today, Julia W. has given us quite the challenge, as you can probably see on your screen in the titles of your podcatcher feeds. Yes, that's right, you're not mistaken. Today we're going to be covering the 2025 dub made by Netflix for the Studio Ghibli classic Grave of the Fireflies, a heartwarming and uplifting story about dead children. Everybody's favorite. Joining me tonight for this is my co-hosts here, Jackson.
Yeah, I love Ghibli movies. They're always so uplifting and about, personal self-reliance and whimsy. Oh no. Uh-oh.
Slowly reads the back of the box. And Hardy.
I'm not crying, okay? There's something in my eyes. Shut up, you're crying.
And just to make today extra ominous, while we were planning our recording, I suggested a Sunday about a week into the future from then, and we all decided, yes, that'd be a good day to record, which is today. And this morning I was looking at Blue Sky, and I follow an account that tells you about, on this day in movies, for events that happen in movies, and wouldn't you know, it's September 21st, which is where Grave of the Fireflies begins. September 21st, 1945, when our protagonist Satoh dies of malnutrition in a train station. So, we really, it's either going to be our best episode or just profoundly, deeply cursed, and we're all going to be dead within a month.
Yeah,
One of the two.
That's some Etsy witch nonsense.
Yep.
On the bright side, it is Earth, Wind, and Fire Day.
That's true. So hopefully, maybe the good vibes of Maurice White and company will help counteract the bad vibes of a movie that is very one of the biggest bummers ever made, probably. I'd say.
No, the date today is also traumatic as a VTuber fan since 2024, September 21st. Don't worry about it. I was crazy once. They put me in a shoebox full of crazy. I was crazy once. No, the voices are starring in my head already. We should move on.
Let's move on. Perhaps you're newer to anime and you do not know what the hell we are talking about. Well, let me read you this handy description off of Wikipedia, and we'll use that to start talking about this movie. This description I got from Anime News Network, not Wikipedia. We have standards here. Thank you. On the final days of World War II, 14-year-old Satoh and his 4-year-old sister Setsuko are orphaned after their mother is killed during an air raid by American forces in Kobe, Japan. After having a falling out with their aunt, they move into an abandoned bomb shelter. With no surviving relatives and their emergency funds and rations depleted, Satoh and Setsuko must struggle to survive their hardships as well as those of their country, which is on the losing end of the war. Directed by Isao Takahata. Famously done as a double feature with My Neighbor Totoro, which did not do very well because that is not a double bill you can sell to anybody. Nobody wants that.
They both star 4-year-old girls. What's the problem? No.
I mean, to be fair, my understanding, part of the reason they argued to get funding for Grave of the Fireflies was it's educational. School trips will go watch it. Easy money.
Oh, sure.
I don't think this did abysmally at the box office, but I do not, compared to, few years later, when like every Ghibli movie like breaks box office records, it didn't do great.
Yeah. There isn't nearly as much Grave of the Fireflies merch as there is Totoro and Cat Bus. But they do sell that candy tin. You can buy that candy tin.
I was going to say that it does have the most cursed merch, which is not just the candy tin, but the candy tin that has Setsuko on it, which is a variation. You can, I don't know about now, but you could definitely purchase that at one point. Uniquely upsetting object. Yes, this is a stone cold classic of world cinema. Not a fun time. Not a great time. I did learn that it has something of an interesting story in that it was essentially used as leverage to get, essentially just to get Ghibli more financing in general. Ghibli at the time was owned by a publishing company that published the Nausicaa manga, and they weren't particularly interested in financing a second movie by them. But as it turns out, the company that published the short story that Grave of the Fireflies is based on and they were a much older company than the other one was, so they were kind of able to get them to bully their owners into funding their movie for them, which I think is interesting.
I see. You said educational, and I'm just like, yeah, you could steal government funds to make this movie. Or tax breaks, what have you.
There's a way in there, that's for sure. This has been now we're technically covering the dub that Netflix was produced through Dubbing Brothers in 2025. That is, to my knowledge, what my co-hosts have watched.
Indeed.
It has been dubbed previously. It was dubbed in the 90s by Sky Pilot Entertainment for Central Park Media, and then again in the 2010s at Seraphim Digital for Sentai Filmworks Blu-ray release. I'm a real sicko, so I've watched all three of these, and I'll give various thoughts as they come up.
You poor man.
Yeah. No, it was interesting. I learned a lot of things that I thought were cool, even if the movie itself does not get any less depressing the more times you watch it.
Yeah. You watched it 3 times. Meanwhile, I took 3 sessions to get through it the first time.
I'm a glutton for punishment. What can I say?
Yeah, I've only seen. It must have been the Pioneer dub then, because I think it was like 2011 that I watched this movie.
That would sound right. I think until that Sentai release came out, like the CPM dub was pretty much the standard one that came on anything, including I think the first time Sentai put it out, because they didn't dub it originally. They dubbed it. I think basically they dubbed it when they put out a Blu-ray because the master for that older dub is missing. Like they have a copy of it, but it's like it's a lossy copy, and I think they just wanted something that would actually sound nice.
Old and busted and on old hardware.
Exactly. I'll get into more of that when we talk about the dub itself, but officially we're talking about the Dubbing Brothers dub. And so I'm curious, have either of you seen this movie prior to this? I have.
I have as well.
I saw this at some point in college.
I have as well. When our good friend Itchinator streamed it on Late Night Anime, he streamed the original CPM dub.
Ooh.
Yep, like I detailed before, I watched it back around 2011, just in like my dorm room or bedroom, and took like 3 different sittings to get through it all.
I think that might have been when I watched it too, actually, like around like 2011 in college, probably with the copy my college library had, so appropriate bit of synchronicity there. Mm-hmm. All right, but enough chatter. Let's talk about the world's biggest bummer in anime. Who made this dub? Well, this dub, like I said, it was commissioned by Netflix, which you can tell because it's not on the nice Blu-ray edition that G-Kids just put out.
Oh, it's not?
No, that one only has the CPM dub and it has the Sentai dub. I'm assuming Netflix produced this themselves, possibly at the behest of, Ghibli or Shinsho
we love which is when the different sections of a company are not talking to each other.
Presumably, yeah. I'm not 100% sure. Clearly, someone commissioned it. I'm assuming Netflix ponied up the money just because I figured if the rights holders did it, it would probably be on the Blu-ray. So I'm assuming this is something that Netflix was paying for, which is why it's on their streaming platform and not anywhere else.
Mm-hmm. From what I've heard, Netflix charges a lot for use of their dubs on home video.
Oh yeah,
that's why Sentai redubs so many of them.
No, that's what I've heard too, and I find that very plausible that they're, especially for something like this, which has already been dubbed twice. Like, what? We're gonna pay this for a third dub? No, thank you. That's just silly.
Okay.
And the crew for this dub, doing ADR direction, we have Christian Lander, and doing script writing, we have Mace Bijak. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name at all. I couldn't find a lot of information about you. Bijak does not have a lot of credits to their name as far as I can tell. I found one for the English dub of a show called Let's Get Divorced, which is a live-action Japanese drama or comedy or something that Dubbing Brothers also did, I think, for Netflix. Whether they have done other work, and I just couldn't find it because, especially kind of live-action dubbing, seems like it's often kind of sparsely recorded outside of like the actual credit reels on those shows, or just that they are that new, I'm not entirely sure. Christian Lander has a more interesting career. In terms of dubbing, he hasn't done too much. He dubbed Rising Impact, which is the golf anime by the Seven Deadly Sins guy that no one cares about.
Oh, sure.
And he did some assistant directing on Maboroshi. Prior to that, he was mostly a television writer and producer. He co-created a show called Loosely Exactly Nicole, which starred the comedian Nicole Byer. And he was a writer and executive producer on Blackish, which I never watched, but I know was very popular for many years while I was on TV. And I'm pretty sure this is true, because as far as I can tell, if you look for Christian Lander online, anything that comes up is all talking about the same guy. He is also the creator of the very essential late 2000s blog Stuff White People Like, which is a chronicle of a series of articles about stuff white people like. Which did so well that he got a book deal out of it, and I'm pretty sure that's what led to him having a career in writing for television and so on. Which I think officially means he has the most oddball career of any ADR director we've talked about, because, man, how did you get from A to B here?
Yeah, I assume there's like a competing blog called Things Millennials Have Killed.
If there isn't, there should be. That's money left on the table right there. Someone should get on that. And just to talk about them. Oh, sure.
Nope.
You didn't have anything to say?
Yeah, I was gonna start talking and then just let the brain go. No.
All right. Let's start talking. What do we think about this dub?
Oh boy, it's a lot to talk about a movie like this where it's not so little of substance happens as you are very tightly in with a close group of a small number of characters in a very realistic and not at all anime setting. Mm-hmm. And not at all whimsical setting. So, the things that stick out in my mind are things like the chatter happening in the crowds, the air sirens coming overhead. The snide remarks coming from neighbors, and gossiping housewives.
This is one of those movies where like the unspecified walla is maybe just as important as the actual named characters in terms of like setting tone and driving the story forward. I think about that guy who after the opening bombing raid, you're like seeing people kind of crawling out of the wreckage, and some guy's like, well, my house is destroyed. I guess that's for the best. It'd be pretty embarrassing if mine survived and everyone else's got trashed. Like finding a way to cope with the fact that everything he owns has gone up in smoke.
Right. One of those moments where you go down the hill following the main characters, and then when you come back up, everything is gone. Mm-hmm. It's all these very shocking moments of impact. This isn't one of those movies where there was like very little soundtrack. There's actually quite a score to this movie that is going to be carrying a lot of it, because it is often dialogue-less.
Yeah, like I was thinking that while watching the movie for this episode, like it's not that there's no dialogue or that this is a movie where like the acting doesn't matter, but so much of it is intertwined with like the visuals and the editing and the mise en scene and the soundtrack, like you're saying. Like it's it's one of those things where you can't really untangling all those aspects from each other is kind of hard because they're all clearly designed to work in tandem.
Did you just look up the meaning of mise en scène or learn the?
No, I took a film class in college. I come by being a pretentious nerd naturally through film school.
Some of us have to self-teach ourselves.
It's a noble endeavor.
Gosh, no, it's not too much to say on just the directing side of things. It's like it is just kind of this wall of atmosphere that's coming at you, that you're building a soundscape more than directing these actors to act together in scene and be believable, whatever you have. Nothing particular was sticking out to me from the script. There's just a couple of snide remarks or comments that can be very biting. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of character says other character's name, and then they just have this look on their face as they understand the meaning.
Mm-hmm. No, I found since I watched the other two versions, I found sort of the thing to kind of hone in on as far as writing and directing goes was usually amounted to how do they communicate that Auntie is just a colossal bitch. Which, to their credit, they all have like slightly different takes on it, and they all communicate that very effectively within like her first scene. That like you're kind of an asshole, aren't you? Okay.
Yeah, very. You are not. You don't have these kids' best interests at heart, do you?
No.
Mm. That is interesting, though.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's a difference of eras there. Between these three, because they're like 10 years or 20 years apart.
There actually, let me bring this up now, just so I don't forget about it. There definitely is a little bit. I'm just going to quickly go over the crew. CPM dub was directed by Anthony Salarone, who did stuff like Captain Tyler, MD Geist. Like he did a bunch of CPM stuff. And the scriptwriter for that was Neil Nadelman, who also did a lot of CPM work for CPM. He did MD Geist, he did Dominion Tank Police, etc. The Sentai version was directed by Stephen Foster.
Yep.
Which is very funny to me because he clearly likes this movie. This is one of the ones where he's trying.
That is the story with Stephen Foster often, is if he cares, you get a good product, and if he doesn't give a shit, he turns out shit.
Yep, based on this, I would say he clearly thinks Grave of the Firefly. He either likes it or at least recognizes that if he half-asses this, he's gonna look like such an asshole, and he can't have that. I'm not actually sure who the scriptwriter on the Sentai version is. No one is credited, but based on looking at the two of them, I think it might just be I think they might have just been supplied with the Neil Nadelman script and then like would occasional do like little spot changes here and there, but otherwise it's about like 99% identical. So
I would believe a Stephen Foster writing credit on that as well.
I'll say that your theory brings up a lot of possibility to it, because I was watching something else recently, which is also extremely depressing and full of dead kids, Tokyo Magnitude 8.0, and they actually did have Neil Nadelman do the script for that one. So Sentai and Made in Japan do use his work.
All right. I could definitely see that being... I mean, I could see that being a possibility, both, I think he was still an active writer at the time. And the actual script, as far as, like, dialogue and kind of timing, seems... Like, it's not 100% identical, but the changes are so small, I could see those just being, like, slight tweaks here and there for kind of pacing or whatever. Mm-hmm. But it does feel like there is a difference kind of between the three styles. I think the main one that sticks out is that the woman who plays her in the aunt in the Central Park Media one is just kind of really like upfront catty from basically the first time she opens her mouth. And as you get forward in time, that gets not dulled down, but like they don't quite make it as prominent right away. I think the person who plays her in the Sentai dub does have some edge to her voice initially, but it takes a little bit to kind of come out. And I think this one kind of, I don't know about realistic per se. This, as much as this movie is very grounded, it's not quite realistic. But this one felt the most like a, maybe kind of like how I'd think like an actual person would behave like this, where she is not completely unempathetic to these children, but she would really rather they not be her problem.
Right.
Right.
We can talk about it in a sec, but yep.
Yeah, no, definitely. Hardy, did you have more thoughts?
Yeah, I just wanted to add that this is one of the many movies where you have a lot of people in the background talking over one another. I wish that more movies would have an option to where you could just focus on. They had different options to change the audio to where you could focus on the background and not so much on the main characters, because you do a lot of times you want to find out, you want to know what they're saying, but it's the main characters are always going to get the most focus on. And so I think it's not necessary, but I think it would be nice to have more options, like on a Blu-ray release or something like that. Because, this movie does live and die by its background, and all the things happening in it, and all the people, not even the main characters, but all of the walla and the background noise going on. This movie is so it's immersive. And when you combine the audio with the amazing visuals, which this is the best this movie has ever looked, by the way. It is phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
I am often blown away by old cel shade movies on Blu-ray.
Mm-hmm.
Just a high definition, high fidelity release just cleans up beautifully every time.
It's either if it comes out native HD or if it's like really old cells, because if you're like in that early 2000s digital era, everything looks like mud when it's upscaled completely. But yeah, no, I think everything works really well in the mix, and like I said, it's easy to get lost in it.
Yeah, you have an interesting idea where to bring up the other voices like that. That's a thing they could be doing with like surround sound, a 5.1 mix. Mm-hmm. You would just put them on like a track behind the viewer. But I don't know many people that have a 5.1 mix in their or setup in their house. But it could reasonably be possible. You put one on the left channel, whatever. All very technical aspects. As I nerd out to distract myself from the horrors.
I'm actually wondering if this movie has a 5.1 mix anywhere. I know the Blu-rays that have come out, I know all have pretty standard stereo mixes, and I have not looked to see like what's on like some Japanese release that maybe has a slightly nicer one or something.
Yeah, this Netflix release probably is 2-channel as well.
Mm-hmm. Fun indeed.
Are we ready to dig in a little deeper?
I think we're probably going to have a little more to say with the actual cast performances, so let's move on to them. Depending on what version of this dub you're looking at, who actually gets to be a like named credited role varies a lot, which I find kind of interesting. For this one, we're going to pick basically the 3 characters who pretty consistently get credited across all these dubs. We have Satoh. He's more or less our protagonist. He is a 14-year-old boy. He loves his sister. He's had his head filled with a lot of jingoism. It may not end up turning out very well. There is his sister Setsuko. She's 4. She is 4. And she has a rash. And she wants to go see her mom.
And her mom does not get a speaking role in this movie for no reason.
Nope. She's. I'm assuming she's. I looked at the like sort of additional voices. There's like, from what I can tell, there's a couple of possible candidates in there, but I do not know this. I can't tell voices out for shit anyways, and I certainly don't know this dubbing pool well enough to do that. So, mom. I guess they decided that all 5 minutes she has on screen talking wasn't enough to warrant a credit line or something. Who knows? However, the aunt does get a credited role because she's on screen for about 40 minutes in total or something, and talks a fair amount. She is, I think what effectively she is their dad's. I don't think she's even actually like their aunt. She's like their dad's cousin or something. She's like, an aunt in the sense that any older female relative is an aunt, not their literal aunt.
Perhaps it could be their uncle's wife married in,
yeah.
and the two brothers are in the military / in the factory.
Something like that, yeah. But she's their aunt. She is not a stunning example of parental warmth and care, let's say.
Well, she is towards her own children. She's
Yes.
not so much towards her niece and nephew.
Extended
Yes.
family.
Yes, she basically takes them in after their mother dies in the opening firebombing. And she seems to be having a lot of conflicted feelings about the whole situation.
She starts off well and good.
Yeah, everything's fine. Everything's fine until the war keeps going badly and all the resources keep getting stretched thinner and thinner. Yes, playing these roles. Satoh is being played by Lucas J. Setsuko is being played by Luna Hamilton. And the aunt is being played by Ren Hanami. Lucas J., who, for those of you at home was wondering, is, I believe, an actual 14 or so year old boy. They age-correct casted the children for this one, which has not been true historically for the English dubs of this. He doesn't have too many VO roles, as far as I can tell. The one I could find is he voices a League of Legends character named Nunu, who apparently is like a little boy who fights with a Yeti.
Oh, yeah, a similarly aged character. Yeah, just young, wild child makes friends with the big Yeti.
Yep. As far as I can tell, that seemed to be his only voiceover role that I could find. He's done a decent amount of on-screen acting. He played Jake Tasker in True Lies, which is not the Schwarzenegger movie. It's a CBS show based on the Schwarzenegger movie that lasted for about a season. I guess he plays not Schwarzenegger and Jamie Lee Curtis's son, I assume, or something. He was in a Netflix miniseries called Merry Happy Whatever, and he was also in Fuller House, both Netflix shows, not too surprising. Setsuko, Luna Hamilton, has actually done a little bit more VO work. She was like a miscellaneous character on South Park at one point. And she is actually also Merry Happy Whatever. I guess she dubs over like a baby or something like that. Mm-hmm. She does not seem to have a lot of on-screen credits yet, mostly because she is 4.
Right.
And what little else I could find from like the Instagram page her parents run seems to be a lot of like stage work. So
that is a child.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's a real child. Welcome to anime, the both of you. Congratulations. Or I'm sorry, depending on how you feel.
Wish it was under happier circumstances.
Yeah, right. And Ren Hanami has actually done a little bit more VO work. Relevant to us, she is in Cyberpunk Edgerunners, playing a character named Wakako Okada, who apparently is also like a character in the Cyberpunk video game. She dubbed over Pinako Rockbell in the live-action FMA movies, so she's in those.
Wow.
And from what I can tell from her resume, like she works for a bunch of the companies that do dubs for live-action foreign shows that Netflix picks up. So she's in a bunch of those from like Dubbing Brothers and VSI and so on. Like she seems to have had a pretty steady career over the last like 5 or so years, being in just tons of those. And also seems to have had a career prior to that, being like a sort of character actor type. She'll show up on TV shows as like a one-off character or someone who shows up a couple of times. Very much one of these things who's had like a long resume of stuff you've heard of, but not necessarily you may or may not have seen the specific episode she's been in.
Kind of like a Margot Martindale.
A little bit, yeah. Mm-hmm. That kind of category.
No small actors, etc., etc.
Exactly. So I don't know where you guys want to start, but I have one thing that immediately leapt out. Since I watch these dubs in order, I'll get into who plays those later. You'll find some of that very funny. But as a consequence, I've mostly been hearing Setsuko being played by adults. And I don't remember when it quite was, but there's a moment in here where it's like, oh, that's a real 4-year-old girl. What have I signed up to watch? I am the dumbest man alive. Like, Luna's very good at playing a 4-year-old by dint of being a 4-year-old.
what's it? It gives you that Milo and Otis trauma in the back of your head. It's like, oh no, what are we doing to this poor girl?
I think the moment that I think stood out is there's a bit, maybe around like half-ish way through the movie, where they're playing on a beach, and Setsuko's like following a crab she spotted, and she encounters what is very clearly a dead body under a tatami mat. And she doesn't quite understand that, so she asks him, like, why is that man sleeping? And she, like, holds a vowel a little bit too long because she's clearly never said it before, and it's like, yeah, that's a real 4-year-old child. I don't feel so good right now.
Yeah, it was very clearly a child part of it. Like, the parts of the acting that were, like, not even rougher, but the things that you could tell where she was putting effort into, they were getting her to try to enunciate and project a lot more for some of her lines, because that's what you need to do with a child actor, because they won't do that enough. They'll go in and down and mumble a lot if you're not encouraging them.
So I should have brought this up earlier, but this actually want to give credit to this dub for that, because they actually what they're doing is a lot harder than what the original Japanese did. When they were first making this, they recorded all of Setsuko's actresses' lines first, and then animated the movie to her performance. Both because they thought it would be easier to do that rather than try and coach this 4-year-old to like dub something basically.
Yeah, match these flaps, kid.
Yeah, and partially because they were concerned that if they waited too long, she might like start sounding noticeably earlier, and like they would, they'd have to like throw out, they'd have to like make do or recast her with somebody else and start from scratch or something like that.
Pitch her down in post or whatever.
Exactly. Which if you get like one of the Japanese Blu-rays, they actually have like they show you like some outtakes of the recording sessions with her, and it is a lot of like the voice coach just trying to get her to like pronounce words correctly, so they'll take 5 minutes to say one line.
Oh, sure.
But they got results out of it. But like I'm honestly very impressed that they managed to find a 4-year-old who like it was able to do this and like turn in, I think, a pretty spot on performance, even if a lot of it is just like be a 4-year-old. You know how to do that.
Yeah, the way you were starting this anecdote, I had seen some trivia online recently about Monsters Inc. that I thought you were going to go into, which is they didn't try to get Boo's actress to act at all. They just followed her around with a microphone.
I've read that anecdote as well, and that also feels like, yeah, that's a good way around that problem. They're too young to take direction.
We don't have the luxury of prelay with this project, so kudos
exactly.
on the directing end there.
Yeah. Hardy, do you have thoughts?
She is definitely a babby, that's for sure. And I think that is both the dub's biggest praise and consummately biggest weakness, because 4-year-olds generally don't know how to properly act. They're just being a 4-year-old. You can have her read something or say. It does what does kind of impress me and unnerve me, though, is near the end when Setsuko is very, very ill. You're having to make an actual 4-year-old girl act like she's dying. And 4-year-olds don't really understand the concept of death normally at that point. And so it's kind of putting a lot of stress on the actor, who is just a child. And so that is the dub's biggest strength and biggest weakness, because you have this 4-year-old girl who's growing up, and you don't want to put a lot of stress and what's the word? You don't want her growing up too fast, but at the same time, you want a realistic performance. It's just, it could not have been easy for the directors to work with that. And so,
yeah, I'm realizing I'm not putting a lot of agency on the child actress as we're talking about this. I'm thinking about how the directors got the performance that they needed out of this object. As it were. Like, I'm thinking in particular her last spoken line of dialogue in the movie. Indeed, she dined, because it's a expression of gratitude. And you tell a kid, remember, say thank you, and they go excitedly go thank you, but that's not the performance here. So I wonder if how would I do it? Is kind of what I'm thinking. Like you maybe tell them like, okay, you're sick and in bed and you're very tired, but you want to say thank you.
I believe for the because one of the clips you can find of one of these outtakes of the Japanese actress is actually the final scene like that, and that's basically what they did. I think they had her like lie on the floor, and they turned the microphone way up so she would, and had her speak quietly. And she's like, "Okay, you're very tired, and then we want you need to say this line, and after you're done, we can go play." Does that sound good? I don't know if realistically you could do the same kind of thing with something like this where there's like some amount of lip flap to match, but I could see something like that. It's like, your character's very tired right now, so I want you to talk like you're very tired.
Yeah, it's good.
Before we move on, sorry, do you have more to say?
No, that's fine.
All right, would you like a funny revelation?
What did you discover?
Well, so I'm going to talk about who played these characters in the other ones, and for this one I'm going to pull out who played Setsuko in the previous ones. Now for the Sentai one, she's being played by Emily Neves, who sounds perfectly fine. Like the most I could say that as a critique of this is just like it is. You can kind of tell it's an adult woman playing a small child, which in sort of a more cartoony show would be, it's not like a detriment. It's just this is such a grounded movie it stands out a little bit. But the really funny one is for the Central Park Media dub, where she is played by an actress named Corinne Orr. Do you know who that is?
I should, but I don't.
I think the method that I'm watching this through has spoiled me on what you might be going at.
It probably does. Corinne Orr is the woman who played all the women in Speed Racer.
Nice.
And as some of you who can do math are probably calculating, wait, you said this was dubbed in the 90s? How old was she? She was in her 60s when she was playing this 4-year-old child.
Wow.
And I will say this, the actual mechanics of her performance do sound pretty good. But it's a 60-year-old woman trying to pitch her voice up and sound like a 4-year-old. I've probably heard... it's not quite bad acting, and in something that was maybe goofier, I think you could get away with it, but it is I'm really curious to know how that came about, is I think my question.
Budget.
I'm very curious to know how that happened.
Budget.
I guess? I don't know, were there I don't know, I guess...
CPM usually ran on a budget of shoestrings and lint very, very often. I mean, just go back and listen to what was it? Their dudes had the biggest hard-on for this one terrible show, and it was the last show I ever.
MD Geist.
MD Geist, yes.
MD Geist.
Yeah,
that's the one you're thinking of.
Right. Yeah. Go back and listen to that dub, and you'll see what kind of budget they usually were working with.
Fair enough. I guess it's more surprising that they could get a. Maybe not a name actress, but somebody who was not just like, some newbie in New York they found on the street.
I suppose like getting a child of one of the crew to do it was an option. But, if this isn't prelay, you're running this on tapes back then, and you're going to be doing a lot of takes,
definitely.
And that's money.
I can definitely think of a rationale. Definitely rationales for hiring, we're going to hire an adult woman to play this role. It's just going to solve a lot of headaches. Anyways, that one's interesting. More fun facts about that dub. The guy playing Seda is a guy named J. Robert Spencer. He would do a few more anime dubs, and then he would become a theater actor, and around 2009, he was nominated for a Tony. So good for you, Robert. You could put that on your mantle as well. The aunt is played by one named Amy Jones, who, as far as I can tell, does not have any other anime credits. I think she's mostly a theater director and choreography these days. And the mom in that one is played by Veronica Taylor in her, I think at this point, maybe pre-Pokemon days, or maybe just started Pokemon days.
That would probably be around
around the Pokemon. So yeah, if you ever want to hear what Veronica Taylor's actual speaking voice sounds like, go track down the CPM dub.
I was looking at Veronica Taylor's headshot, so that's who I thought was going to be the revelation earlier.
Oh, that would have been really funny. Well, I would have brought that up immediately if that's what was true. Like, come on, Ash Ketchum plays the little dead girl in Grave of the Fireflies. That's the kind of thing that anime trivia nights dream of. Like, you can't get any better than that. And just since we're talking about them, in the Sentai dub, Satoh is played by Adam Gibbs. The aunt is played by Marcy Banner. They're both. I found that like kind of how Setsuko's played is kind of the thing that changes the most between the dubs. Like usually, whoever's playing Satoh is pretty good. Like, you know, very like. Well, let's talk about Satoh first, and then I'll give thoughts on how the other people play him. What do you think of Lucas playing this kid?
I'm realizing that I no longer can tell the age of a person that young.
Right.
I was like, oh, this is kind of a young voice, isn't it? It's got this like gentle, naive quality to it, but he feels like deeper and older a little bit in parts. Oh, so you're telling me he is that age? This also makes sense.
If he's not literally 14, he is like maybe 16 max from what I can tell. Like he is approximately Sato's age.
He has achieved puberty. We can say that.
Yes.
Yeah, he is made a smooth transition into puberty and is not getting like a squeaky voice that I would have expected to hear from a character that young.
Mm-hmm. Satoh can't have a squeaky voice. He's got to be he's the son of a Navy man. He's got to be strong for his country.
Right. You know, maybe that's part of it. You're growing up fast, kid. So you better start acting like it.
Mm-hmm.
Did anyone else notice that even after he washes, Satoh always is drawn like he looks dirty, especially on his face? And I think that's done on purpose.
There was some parts of the animation I noticed, but that was not one of them. That does make sense though, because they're not washing with clean water.
Nope.
Oftentimes.
No, I think it's done on purpose because he is always going through hardships and conflicts, and as a result, it's like even when he's clean, he's always dirty. And it
is just in his face, the fatigue and the exhaustion.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's this is related to that. The first time I saw this movie, I never quite put together that the blue outfit that Setsuko's wearing for most of the movie is supposed to be like it's clearly like something to help protect you in a firebombing. And when I finally put that together, I just thought how sad it was that this is like the only piece of clothing she owns anymore. Just this like this, I don't know, these like blue fire retardant pants and a cloak, basically.
Yeah, an itchy hood.
I'll be honest, watching this on Blu-ray was also nice, just in that I understood what I was looking at a lot better than watching on like my crappy little laptop on like, you know, some 1998 ass DVD.
Yeah. Don't you love that you can count the maggots on the mother's bandages?
It's really impressive how disgusting this movie is. Like
that has been one of the images that has just stuck with me since seeing it the first time.
It's oof.
Or near the end when Setsuko lifts up her shirt and shows the doctor her rash.
Ugh.
Yeah, there are points of this movie where we can talk about it. They are putting on the strong face for as long as possible, and then they do the reveal, or they uncover some part of themselves that they've been hiding for this time, and it is ugly.
Oh yeah,
things should never have gotten this bad.
Oh yeah, it was funny. watching it this time was funny because I feel like the reputation this always has is either like it's a really sad movie or like for people who don't care for it, it's like very emotionally manipulative because it's about dead children, whatever.
I have been thinking about the reviews I've seen that have said exactly those things,
which I found interesting because watching it now, kind of like it's very much like that's kind of the surface level thing, and I was kind of, now that I'd seen it previously, I was thinking more about it. I was thinking how much of this movie is about like the failure of systems to protect the people they're supposed to protect, in terms of like the Japanese government is doing a shit job protecting its citizens. The citizens are doing a bad job protecting each other. Adults are failing children. This older brother can't even make good decisions to take care of his younger sister. Just a complete collapse of any ability to like be a society basically and like actually help each other.
Very much so. Yeah.
Like I think it's funny because sometimes I think I've seen this in the I've seen people kind of combat this because it's like, oh, this is one of these movies that's about like Japan feeling sorry for itself during World War II and conveniently eliding all the nasty stuff they did in World War II. It's like, no, this is extremely critical of Imperial Japan. This does not have anything nice to say about Imperial Japan.
For sure, this is looking at the Japanese audience that's watching this and has experienced this shared trauma and looking them down in the face is like, this shouldn't. Any of you could have stopped this from getting this bad.
Yulk.
I think the thesis statement of this movie is anybody could have stepped in to stop this from getting this bad.
Mm-hmm. None of this needed to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because exactly the expectation that they put, because they have the aunt there that is being rude and inconsiderate and resentful that she's got these hangers on with them, or more mouths to feed when things are already hard, and gives them one offhand comment of, why don't you go live down in that cave that you spend so much time in if you're not going to contribute to society or contribute to the war effort, more literally, but society is in general. And says like, calls her bluff and goes and does it. She should never let that happen. Should never have let it get that far and let them leave. He should have swallowed his pride and come back and been like, I can't do this on my own. I need a support network of some kind. Any of the adults around could have been like, kid, I'll give you a job. Just help me till the field and I'll feed you, okay? Or any of the doctors or military officers will be like, look, if you need help, we can give it. But no one's got... everyone is preoccupied feeding themselves, as it were.
No, I definitely think about the bit where they, since you brought it up, that one that always stands out when they go to the doctor and it's like, she just needs food. And there's just like this beat as like Sato's absorbing this and it's like, what food? Where? Like, how is that useful? Do you think I'm starving her for fun?
Yeah, what military rations here?
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, you mean the like handful of rice I could get if I was still living with my aunt? Like, there's like some bit in there where like he points out like we have money, but like there's no money to spend on anything. Like, it's if you're not growing your own food or like happen to be very privileged, you're basically out of luck anyways.
Yeah, like one of these voices in the choir, for example, is the house just across the river. That presumably some rich family lives in and was able to move away during the war, and just across the river from the cave. And they come back and are all laughing. It's like, oh, it's so nice to be back. I'm so glad the war is over.
Gonna play Home Sweet Home as we pan over to the cave and see Setsuko's past playing there.
Have we mentioned that this is a very, very depressing movie?
It's a real bummer, guys.
Yes. Anyways, about that, Aunt, let's talk about how big of a huge bitch she is.
Oh.
I'm thinking of the first scene with her in particular. Like, in this one, it is her from the word go, she's like, oh, you kids are so lucky that your dad is in the Navy. That means you get all the privileges that the Japanese government gives families of the Navy. Give me some of that.
She is so bitter. She is so profound. I really like her. I think she does a really great job playing this character. It's very like the movie is always very upfront about how she it pretty much across all these versions, like she says something kind of like bitter or resentful in basically her first scene. How intense it is kind of changes up a little bit depending on which version, but like it's established very strongly. I think I like this one because it felt like it tried to play her with not a lot of nuance, but like a little bit more. There's a bit where she's like interrogating Sade about like, when did you mail this letter to your father? And he's like, when we moved here. And she's like, actually just like, oh, she's like clearly thinking like, well, we should have heard back from him. Clearly thinking like, is he okay?
Yeah, in some ways it sounds like a neg, but in other ways it sounds like, oh, that's the gears are turning.
No, this is like, of the three of them, this is the one very much where that one sounded like her realizing like, oh, something like this might not just be a waiting game. Like something bad might have happened. Like I might be these kids' guardian for the rest of their life, rest of my life at this point. Like not quite like humanize her, but I think player is a little more two-dimensional than I think the past ones do. We're very much like, hectoring older woman. Which I also thought was interesting, since did you know there have been a few other adaptations of this story?
I would have thought this was an original movie, but I'm hearing for the first time it's a short story.
Yes, it is a short story by... Give me a second, what's his name?
I assume this is kind of like it's not quite as fantastical a adaptation as the How Do You Live short story that Boy and the Heron is based on.
No, it's by a guy named Akiyuki Nosaka. This is based on his actual experience being a small child during World War II. He had a younger sister who died. He did not. And he has talked at length about part of the reason that the stand-in for him dies is because he has a lot of guilt about basically being a really shitty older brother.
Survivor's guilt.
Yeah, essentially. And part of me is like, my brother in Christ, you were 14. You were living in a war zone. You could be a little bit nicer to yourself. It's okay. But yeah, this has since been adapted into, I think there was a TV movie around 2005, which I had heard about this like kind of back when I first saw it, which I thought was interesting. It's like partially an adaptation of the story, but it's also set in like the present, and it's about like what the aunt, what her life was like afterwards, and her daughter finding out about all of this, which I thought sounded interesting in the sense of it's interesting that the aunt is the character you want to explore and humanize in this story. That's curious. And then I think there's one from, I want to say, the early 2010s, where I think is much more of a straight ahead, like, it's a live action version of this story, which ends up being funny because it clearly takes a lot of visual cues from this movie. And from what I've heard is like, they're both like fine and mostly just run into basically the problem I think that led to the writer of the original short story have been like presented with like adaptation offers in the past. The original short story came out in like the 60s. It's like it was pretty well known at the time. So like for a couple decades people have been offering this, and part of it was like, so how are you going to make the 4-year-old look like they're dying exactly? How are you going to do that? And basically up until when Takahata presented, it's like, oh, make it not a real little girl. That actually will work. Okay, I'll work with you.
The beauty of animation. It can show fantastical things and also children dying.
Exactly. There's if you buy like any home video copy of this, they will usually include a bonus feature that's like Roger Ebert talking about this movie. And one thing he talks about is like, if you shoot this with real people, a movie like this that's about kind of this sort of suffering, you just start thinking about the mechanics of how they made it work.
You're going to start getting some calls from some government agencies.
Exactly. Yeah, but if it's a cartoon, it's not a real person, so it doesn't, you don't run into that problem. Yeah.
The wonders of animation as a medium.
Yeah, very much. Like I think you can Ebert in particular, I think, was like, shockingly, this had its movie premiere at a like children's film festival that was in Chicago, and I have to assume Ebert either was covering it for his paper or just saw it because he's Roger Ebert. Of course, he went to a film festival, and he seems to have been a pretty consistent champion of it ever since he saw it, and in part because he thought, like, I don't know a better way to tell this kind of story, and it's impressive how much it does not try to pull its punches.
Yeah. I am thinking of similar war movies that I saw on like Saturday Night on the Movies with Ellie Yost, but those all involve like 8-year-olds at minimum.
Yeah, slightly. Yeah, exactly. Like the having one of your kids be someone that young is a really big ask, especially if you're trying to like
make
a real movie.
What's the freaking movie? It's Life is Beautiful.
Oh, that's the bummer of a Holocaust one, right?
Yeah, I think so. A similar concept of we're just going to drag this child around and protect them from the elements of the war and not let them see what's going on, but things are bad.
Oh yeah.
Well, didn't it like start? Wasn't the first half of that movie like a comedy? Is that what I'm thinking of? I think that is the one, because I believe if this is the one I'm thinking of, the lead actor is primarily a comedian, and that's sort of the he's being funny to kind of help protect the kids from it, and then
Roberto Benigni.
That increasingly becomes harder. Yes, that's who it is. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That guy.
Yeah, so our Roberto Benigni stand-in in this movie, like I'm thinking of like Ghibli has a history of one of their main tropes is a very self-reliant main character, and this feels, probably by happenstance and coincidence, like a takedown of that, like a subversion of that expectation. Like this is not a survivalist child that's going to survive out in the wilderness for months and months and months and last out the war. He thinks he is, but he's deluding himself, right? Because his support network has fallen away and he feels betrayed by everyone in society.
So would you say that who's the villain here? Is it the aunt's fault or is it Satoh's fault?
I'm sticking to my earlier thesis statement that anyone could have stopped this from happening at any time.
Yeah, this very much feels like a movie where like a lot of people had to fail for this to happen. Trying to assigning blame to like sort of a specific person or even institution almost feels like being too neat about it. Like a lot of things had to go wrong. Jackson, to your point about this almost feeling like a takedown, I don't think it's a coincidence that I feel like a lot of those movies are usually ones where Miyazaki is the primary authorial voice, and obviously this is like Takahata's big Ghibli movie, and I haven't seen a lot of his movies, unfortunately. I've seen this.
I've seen he's Whisper of the Heart man, right?
No, Whisper of the Heart is he's the guy.
I've also seen Only Yesterday. Because
only yesterday's Takahata. Only yesterday's Takahata.
Because that was a more recent dub with Dave Attell and Daisy Ridley. So I'm like, oh, Star Wars. I'll go see that.
Yes. Yeah, right.
Have you seen Princess Kaguya?
I haven't seen that one.
That one I've also seen, yes.
Yeah, so you might be able to speak this better. I've definitely gotten the impression that, Miyazaki and Takahata, they definitely have, overlapping sensibilities, but there are definitely things that one does and the other does not. And I've definitely got the impression that there's a certain gung-ho-ness to some of Miyazaki's work that Takahata is not particularly interested in and exploring as a creative person, and his interests lie elsewhere.
Yeah, they both, are utter craftsmen and care a lot about the minutia and details. This one might be, or Taka might care a lot more about the nonfiction side of things. We're just going to lay bare these human people that were living their lives.
No, he's for the bits I've seen of him, he strikes me as much more like he's much more art house of the two. At least by the sort of the Ghibli years, he feels much more like, yeah, I'd very happily make a 3-hour movie that's just about people living their lives and nothing really specifically happens, but it'll be about the sad, quiet joy of existing, or something along those lines. Like that feels like a movie he would have conceivably made.
It's like he would happily do arguments around the family dinner table of like, eat your pineapple. No, I don't want to. Okay, you're grounded and going to bed. And then you follow the kid up to the bedroom and they start having a tantrum. He would absolutely make a scene like that.
Well, now I want to know if stuff like that happens in My Neighbor the Yamadas, which I know he directed, and that absolutely sounds like something would happen there.
That's my hazy memory of Only Yesterday.
I mean, that also sounds like something that would happen in Only Yesterday, based on what I know from that, too, so... Oh, boy.
That's hard to think.
I have one question.
Sure.
What's in the box?
Right.
Throughout this movie...
What's in the box?
Throughout this entire movie, Satoh has this little wooden box that he takes care of, and... that's his mother's ashes. Oh,
that is also that was my going theory through most of the movie, because it does appear after he makes the trip back to his home city, after the mother has already died, but also they threw the mother into an open air burial cremation with other bodies. So
yes.
If it is her ashes, it's probably not just her ashes.
No. Right. No, it's like whatever portion he was given after that mass cremation happened. And that's why he's so eager to hide it from Setsuko. He doesn't want her to know.
Okay. That's
I did have a brief moment of like he's coming home to the aunt's house, and like this is the last thing his mother left him, and he's hiding it from her because she would take him for anything he has that was left to him. But no, as they go on, it does feel pretty clear that it is the mother's ashes.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. I also know he never sold her ring either. He could have.
He's got to hang on to something.
Yeah, kept that from the aunt as well. On the topic of cremation, like, you know, watching this movie through a second time, you start noticing some things as from all these like events that are happening after he's already passed. Like it's when they throw the can away, the fruit can away, and something white tumbles out of it. I'm now realizing that's probably her Setsuko's remains.
It is.
Oh yeah. Yep. That's why the fruit tin with Setsuko on it is especially ghoulish in my mind that you could go buy that product. That's a hell of a thing to sell.
She's right inside.
Yep.
God.
She's right there.
Speaking of the art house stuff, what do you make of the scenes that are in monochrome and kind of red tinted?
They're very striking.
Yeah, the imagined spots they seem to be.
That's basically it's their ghosts looking back upon their pasts, like how you can see the train with all the people on it, and then in the back you've got Satoh and Setsuko in red monochrome, sort of looking in on them from beyond, is what I kind of thought.
Yeah, it's their ghosts going on a little journey of the soul before they meet their, I guess, their sort of resting place at modern day Kobe at the very end there.
Right. Yeah. Part of me was thinking like this is what should have happened, or where they would be if things had happened differently. Some of that is just like Sato's imagination while he is still alive. Like they imagine, or he has to sell the kimonos, and he cut to a scene where they're all happily in their best clothes, sending Setsuko off to school.
This is a very depressing movie, in case you haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah.
It's not for everyday watching.
The main motif of this movie is a grave of fireflies, because they are, there's definitely a metaphor here, beyond the very fleeting life they lead.
The fun one is this is one of these things that's completely unobvious if you don't know Japanese. In the title, they don't use the standard word for firefly. They use I'm forgetting what the two characters are, but one of them is like the little character for fire.
I know, I could recognize that. Yeah, fire. So like Hanabi, like fireworks.
Yeah, I think my understanding is like throughout the movie there is kind of a connection drawn between the fireflies as kind of this beautiful visual motif of this slowly moving light and the fire bombings. I think the
Yeah.
one that illustrates this, if you there's one poster for the movie which is like, it's like the scene where they've like captured a bunch of fireflies and they're letting them like spread out. And I think this is probably more obvious if you find like a good original printing of the poster. But if you crank the brightness way up, at the very top of the page where kind of like the fireflies are reaching up, you can see a American bomber like flying over them. So there's definitely an explicit connection being made between these, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
There may have been
a lot
like
going on here.
There may have been like one tracking shot that also lays that out more.
I think there. I want to say there is. Yeah, there's definitely one in the movie that kind of draws that parallel between like the way the bombs are animated and the way the fireflies are animated. I can't remember where, but I do remember seeing that as well.
I'm recalling also one of Setsuko's lines as she's very sickly. It sounded like she might have said threw up, but it also sounds like they went up and then they came back down. So the lights went up with the fireflies and then they came back down with the bombers.
Yep.
Indeed, very art housey.
Oh yeah. That's this movie's like, I should clarify, this movie is great. Like, it's a rough watch, but like absolutely worth your time. We'll get more into that in final thoughts, but like don't let us talking about how sad it is deter you from seeing it.
Are we headed into final thoughts?
I mean, do you guys have anything more to say about the actors, or do we want to move over to final thoughts?
I'm good.
I think I've said my pieces on those. Like, maybe more on the kid of like, what does she understand from all of this environment? Like, she just wants to see her mom. Mm-hmm. And then at some point off screen, the aunt tells her, "Mom's not coming home, kid. Mm-hmm. Let me break that illusion for you." So then she's just like, I need my big brother. I'm very malnourished and sickly, and he's the only thing I got in this world right now. So if he leaves at all, I'm going to be upset. And yeah, he feels similarly about her. Like, when he is alone, or like after she's gone to sleep, he hugs her real tight. Because she's all he has left to. And then she's like, "Get off me, you're just crushing me." Yeah. Very, very awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very desperate situation for Satoh in general. Like, pushed to his limit, and should have broken by now. You know, around the time he's stealing the movies, like you are sympathetic still to him, but again, he should. That's where society is turning against him. Like, you're stealing from us now in wartime? Fuck you, kid. I'm gonna beat your ass. Yeah, this 4-year-old girl is what a leech on society. Get a job. fucking hell.
Yeah, I always like that bit where she's like, his aunt's like, "Shouldn't you be supporting the war effort?" And it's like, well, the factory I was working at got blown up, so I don't really have anywhere to go right now. She doesn't really have an answer to that one.
I can't go back to the school I was going to because that got bombed. You want me to send you? You want to send me to your daughter's school? No, definitely not. Crazy?
No. None of them have an answer to the problem of the Americans systematically bombing every population center in the country. And they're all real mad about it.
Okay. I suppose that will do.
Yeah, let's move on to final thoughts. Who wants to go first?
I think I'll go first. I think as far as convenience goes, and as far as visual quality and audio quality goes, the Netflix is probably the best experience that most people will be able to watch this film in. The dub is of great quality, using actual child actors. The visuals are absolutely phenomenal. And it is a rough watch, but it is a required watch. It's one movie that you will need to watch at least once, and then never again. And I've already broken that because I've watched it twice. But yeah, no, it's a punch in the gut, but it's one that you'll heal from and probably say, "Thank you, sir. May I have another?"
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you said this was a... Remind me which patron requested this episode?
This was Julia W.
Julia, what's your fucking problem? Why would you do this to us? Why do you hate us?
Trusted you.
You know, I could be watching some harem garbage right now, and instead I'm getting culture.
What is this Criterion Collection ass bullshit?
Yeah.
Come on. This is like a real movie with standards and themes.
I have to wash my brain out with some token angi after this. Thanks a lot.
Oof.
Which is also on Netflix.
I think
There
I've
we
gotten
go.
out all my feelings on this. My TV started auto-playing Kikkawa's delivery service, so, you know, it's trying to help. And that's probably what I will go do next.
A wise decision. Yeah, like this is Grave of the Fireflies. It's a stone cold classic. It's been like that since it came out. A Netflix version, I do think, is probably the best of it's gotten. I think having actual like age appropriate actors playing Satoh and Setsuko really does give it that little bump over the top. I think the Sentai dub is pretty good. Like I think that is only the real main difference. Like if you don't have access to Netflix, you can only get it on home video. Like that Sentai dub is not going to do poorly by you. The CPM dub is a little shakier, I think, but not without its charms. I do like. But I put it this way: if you're watching this dubbed, you're probably at least going to get an okay time. But I do think this is probably the strongest one that it's ever gotten. So thank you, Netflix. I sometimes find your dubbing patterns a little frustrating, and your unwillingness to price them for home video annoying. But like, all right, fine, you did a good job. You get one thumbs up. Don't let it go to your head. If you would like to watch this, as we said, it's streaming on Netflix. That is the one place you can watch this specific dub. It is also available on home video from G-Kids, where you can get it with the 2 older dubs instead. It's a very lovely package for your shelf, and you can now finally have a complete set of Ghibli movies that have matching packaging, which hadn't happened prior to this for...
God, matching spines.
It's literally dumb legal stuff. This movie is co-owned by the publishing company that published the book it's based on, and that's why it's always been in its own weird little orbit and never part of all the other Ghibli packages. Like, I think this is literally the first time anyone's been able to get them all in the same place at the same time. It's very funny to me.
It even has a matching steelbook.
Exactly. To be fair, Sentai did also put out a matching steelbook.
Oh god, the
the
steelbook has this that poster you were describing earlier. I bet
that
that bomber will show up real well on a reflective surface.
Probably. So that is where you can watch the movie. If you want to follow us, we are Dub Talk. You can find us on YouTube and Podbean and podcast catchers everywhere. You can also find us on our various social medias. We are on Blue Sky. I guess we're on Twitch periodically with various people. I don't know if we keep any of the other ones updated. I don't ever follow them, so I'm not sure. But you know, we're Dub Talk Podcast on most platforms, so you know, go look for us there. And you can also support us. You can do it via Ko-fi for one-time donations, or if you want to do recurring donations, we have a Patreon, which you'll find a link to in the description. And if you give us enough money, you can get your name read out in an episode like I'm going to do right now. Thank you to our $5 tier patrons: Bright Eyes 505, Quinoa Soup, Marissa Lenti, Megan's mom and dad, and Michelle Travis. And to our $10 tier patrons: Anthony Brown, Carly Lesticow, Julia W., Pika Greg, and Shoulder. As you've probably guessed, if you want to be able to tell us what to watch, that $10 tier is going to be your friend. You can make us watch anything that you want. Our friend Greg freakishly just offers us the most awful shows just to see if we'll go for it. Or is it? Or no, wait, is that Josh? One of our friends will give us $10 just to harass us into watching some awful nonsense. It's what friendship's all about.
Please get into those raffles and dilute the pool so we can avoid the neutron bomb.
Exactly.
That's not exactly the best comparison to make regarding this movie, Jackson.
I didn't say atomic bomb.
No, that's Barefoot Gen.
You want to go watch Open? You want to pair this movie up with Oppenheimer?
No, we have to pair. We have to pair.
Right, you have to go Totoro and you have to go Totoro and Oppenheimer and Grave of the Fireflies and Barbie.
There we go. Exactly.
Some cultural exchange.
Gentlemen, where do you want to be found on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter and Blue Sky at 9clawtiger. Mostly just retweeting art. I live where the VTubers live, sadly, or I would cut Twitter out by now.
Ain't it just the way?
I am also on Blue Sky and The Bad Place at Spaceman Hardy. I don't really make comments that much. Occasionally I'll retweet some Final Fantasy art, or I'll make some random rant, or I might just say my catchphrase, Donkey Pants!
There you go.
Grave of the Fireflies review, Donkey Pants.
Mm-hmm.
Put that on the back of the box, you kids.
So, Amon Duel, what kind of song do you have for this episode?
I'm Amon. You can find me mostly on Blue Sky, where I talk about movies and comic books and bullshit. I also have a frequently updated blog that might finally get an update. He said for like the 8th episode in a row with no updates, but we'll see. And I have a dusty old song for you. I thought a lot about what I wanted to pick for this one. I briefly thought I should just go with the cliche and suggest Samuel Barber's Adagios for Strings, which is routinely described by people as the saddest piece of music in the world. But I thought that seemed a little too obvious. And this is a movie about culture and difficult things. And it's about Japan during the war, so I'm going to give you something more challenging. There's a Polish composer named Krzysztof Penderecki, and he composed a piece of music called Thernody for the Victims of Hiroshima. If you're wondering, a Thernody is a song of lamentation for the dead. Mm-hmm. It's a 9-minute or so piece of modern classical music about what you think it's about. It's an interesting listen, I'll say that. I mostly know about it because Johnny Greenwood, the guitarist from Radiohead, who does a lot of his own classical music compositions, is a big fan, so take that as a point of support if you wish.
No timeline cleanse then. Nothing uplifting to watch after this.
If you want to go uplifting, you should just. So here's a fun fact: when this double feature came out, the theaters got to pick what order to show the double bill in. They were not given instructions. And my understanding is that for most of them, they usually just showed this and then Totoro later, because they correctly recognize that they should not end on dead children. So if you want a timeline cleanse, go watch My Neighbor Totoro. It's a very charming movie.
It has
cat bus in it.
The kids are not going to be getting out of their seats. They're going to be spending like at least the first 20 minutes crying. Let them have that Totoro runtime to get there.
Exactly. If they time it right, when they start crying, they'll stop crying around the time the first little wood elf shows up, and they'll be having a nice time after that. So yes, that is our episode. Thank you for watching. Be careful if you see this movie. It's a lot. It's good, but it's a lot. And thank you to Julia W. for getting us to talk about this. I don't know if this is one we would have picked if it was not a Patreon raffle kind of a thing.
I'm still not crying, guys. Shut up. There's something in my eye.
We know, Hardy. We know.
Yeah, well, come on in for the big group hug.
Yeah,
we'll have our crying session after this.
Exactly.
Just a bunch of chopping onions.
Catch you all later.
Rock over Boston, rock on Chicago.
Keep it manly.